All right, very good afternoon to you, South Africa, and welcome to Sport On. It is still Women's Month, and we are paying tribute to the ladies who are doing phenomenal things in the world of sport, and we are going to be talking to them on the show this evening, or this afternoon rather, and I'm talking about Fran Hilton-Smith, 21 years as an administrator at the South African Football Association. She'll be here on the couch chatting to us about all those years and about retirement. Was it willfully or was she pushed? We'll hear all about that in the next hour or so. And then a little bit later in the show, we're talking to Tshwanelo Phulu. She is a hockey coach and currently coaching the UJ team, and she's doing great things as well, coaching the SA Under-18 team to the semifinals of the Youth Olympics last year in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And then also, all of you adrenaline junkies and everything, we're going to be talking extreme fighting. We're going to be talking to Graham, who's going to be telling us about EFC and what is happening with regards to that in South Africa. It's going to be a busy one, and I don't know how we're going to fit everything that we've got planned for you, but we're going to have a crack at it. And because we're so busy, we're going to go straight to Loftus Versfeld as things get started and talk to our man there, Philasande Siqaba, who's covering the Springboks up against Argentina. It's a second match in as many weeks. Philasande Siqaba, how you doing, my man? Loftus already getting packed up and everything is ready to go.
Yeah, good afternoon, Benjamin. As you rightly say, Loftus is getting packed to the rafters here this afternoon for this much-anticipated match against Argentina. And of course, this is the last one on home soil before that 31-man squad for Japan. The Rugby World Cup gets announced in the next couple of days, and it's going to be a final opportunity for this 23 that are going to be playing in this match against Argentina to impress Rassie Erasmus and the rest of the coaching staff to put up their names and their hands for that final 31-man squad for the Rugby World Cup. It's going to be a tough encounter though, Benjamin, as they're up against a very formidable Argentina side. Even though they beat them 46 points to 13 last week, it's a much-changed Argentina side. They've got Thomas Lavanini back, who brings a lot of physicality that was a bit lacking in Salta last week. So it's going to be a very bruising encounter here at Loftus Versfeld, Benjamin.
Do you think, Pila, that the squad or the team that has been chosen, the starting 15 here by Rassie Erasmus, is what we should be expecting to be a stencil approach when the World Cup comes in Japan, in that particularly first game against New Zealand?
Not at all, particularly this 15. And I think this is a very experimental 23-man squad for this test match that has been picked. It's sort of a third team, if you like it, because Rassie has had the luxury of being able to field three different teams in the past 3-4 weeks in the Rugby Championship, and of course this one-off test match. I think this test match and this team that's going to be playing in this test match are very much the fringe players that are going to be looking to impress for final spots. And we spoke to Rassie Erasmus in the week, and he said that he's got 80% of the squad that he wants to take to Japan in mind. He's already penciled it down, and I think this opportunity now for these players is the final one to sort of put together those final spots for that 31-man squad for Japan, Benjamin.
Philasande, you're a rugby head. I think it's safe to assume. Do we look at the result, whatever it is today, and say it will determine what box we put the Springboks in going to the World Cup? If they lose, do we say maybe they are still a dark horse of some sort, and maybe if they win, beating Argentina for the second time in as many weeks, and also having drawn that crucial match against the All Blacks at the Cape Town, do we say that now they're the favorites if the result favors them in this match?
I don't think so, Benjamin, because, this squad has been such a great work in progress, and it still is a work in progress. Albeit they've done really well since Rassie Erasmus took charge in 2018. And this year's results have been really positive in terms of getting a lot of players through into the system to create a lot of squad depth. But I don't think that we'll go into the Rugby World Cup as favorites. I think we'll still be flying under the radar. the players that have gotten the opportunity to play in the Rugby Championship and win the Rugby Championship will definitely be those front runners when we take on New Zealand on the 21st of September in our very big game of the World Cup. But I don't think that this match, and especially the result of this match, is of any consequence in particular to the context of the Rugby World Cup. I think this one will also be one of those box-ticking exercises where Rassie Erasmus has been able to see new players, new combinations in preparation for that World Cup, so that whenever anyone is called upon, they're ready to stick up their hand and play for the national side.
All right, Pila Sanda, I'm going to let you go and enjoy the game. You don't know this, but the fans are already enjoying themselves behind you there. So I'm going to let you go and entertain them a little bit today. That's Pila Sanda Sikaba, our reporter, live from Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria, where the Springboks are going to be taking the Argentines in just about an hour's time in one of their final preparations for the World Cup coming up in Japan next month. Now, I told you it's going to be a busy one, and we go straight to football now, and there's been breaking news after breaking news when it comes to African football, and breaking news at Orlando Pirates last night. There was breaking news in Zimbabwean football this week. There was breaking news in Nigerian football. We'll talk about that and more in just a bit, but before, Orlando Pirates coach Micho Sredojevic quit his job at the helm of the team late last night, sending a message to the fans and also thanking the chairman. And also, this comes hot on the heels of that 3-0 loss at the hands of SuperSport United. Here's Coach Micho's message to the Buccaneers.
Spiritual owners of Orlando Pirates as an institution, I would like to use this opportunity and occasion to wholeheartedly appreciate those over 740 days that we have spent together. I want to thank personally Dr. Ivan Koza, our chairman, that has brought me to this club for the second time. Due to the challenges that I'm personally facing, I'm leaving this position, but in the same moment I will look forward for the challenges that once I'm settled are coming ahead of me. I really value and appreciate each moment spent with you. And as we are always saying, once and always.
There's something about Orlando Pirates coaches and SuperSport United. Remember, Mohsin Etugral resigned after that humiliating 6-1 defeat to SuperSport United a few years ago at the Mbombela Stadium. And then they were beaten 4-0 by the very same SuperSport, and Shell Unifred was gone in the morning. And now, Micho is a thing of the past at Orlando Pirates in his second stint. And it's my pleasure to welcome African football expert with us now on Skype, Elasto Capoeja. Elasto, thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. First of all, let's start with that. Micho, what happened late last night? We just, sitting, minding our own business, and news breaks. Micho's no longer the coach of Orlando Pirates. What happened?
Good afternoon, Benji. Look, we were all surprised when we heard about the departure of Coach Micho. But Benji, if you look at the events that have been happening before the beginning of this season, you'll understand that there was a table from so many teams, especially up north, who were so much interested in the services of Micho. And you look at the start of the season of Orlando Pirates, you might sense that it's a coach who was caught up in two minds. And I think when the opportunity came for him to leave the Buccaneers, I think he took it. And yes, there is a Zamalek side that definitely was after Micho.
Okay, I wanted you to mention that, Elasto. I didn't want to be the one saying it, but we'll leave it there. And as far as Micho's concerned, we'll take a look at the situation closer in the coming week and see whether there's any news with regards to his next move. Now, Elasto, what in the world is going on in Zimbabwean football? You're an ex-Zimbabwe midfielder. You're an African football expert. Now we hear that former FA chief or FA president, Philip Chiangwa, who also happens to be the president of COSAFA, the Southern Regional Body, has been banned for life by the Zimbabwean Football Association. Can that even happen?
Yeah, look, Benji, I think it's a very chaotic situation that is happening in Zimbabwean football at the moment. We have a former ZIFA president who's actually the COSAFA president. Now he is a ZIFA executive body that took over from Philip Chiangwa, and now they've banned him for life. Oh my goodness. And now I think the issue is who is superior to who, because he is the president of COSAFA, the regional body, that Chiangwa himself is claiming that it's more superior than ZIFA. How can ZIFA ban him when ZIFA actually is a member of COSAFA? And of course, Philip Chiangwa, being Philip Chiangwa, he has taken this issue with FIFA and claiming that no proper due processes were followed in terms of his supposedly ban on his football situation.
Let me cut in there, Elasto, and ask whether the problem started when the president of COSAFA was not the president of his own FA. Is that the beginning of our problems?
Yeah, definitely. The constitution of COSAFA allows that, of course, that you don't have to be a sitting FA president for you to be the president of COSAFA. And of course, now, both sides are at each other's throats. And you should understand that this enmity between the current ZIFA leadership and Chiangwa spans back from the time when Chiangwa was the president. So it's a matter of getting at each other. Chiangwa is being accused, Benji, by the current ZIFA leadership that he had something to do with those bonus issues that we witnessed at AFCON 2019. Remember, the Warriors were forever during this tournament threatening to pull out. And I'm sure that finger is being pointed to Chiangwa as far as the current leadership of ZIFA is concerned.
Now, Elasto, I've never heard this one before. The entire national team of Zimbabwe, the Warriors, has been disbanded. I have never in my life following football heard that the entire national team has been disbanded.
Look, Benj, me too, is the first time I hear that a national team can be disbanded. You cannot disband a national team. Now, ZIFA is telling us that from the technical team right through to the players, they have disbanded that structure. But no one is permanent when you talk about national team. Players come and go, coaches come and go. If ZIFA was not happy with the affairs in Egypt in 2019 AFCON, then simple, they were supposed to conduct a hearing or some form of a commission where they're supposed to establish exactly what happened, eventually leading to disciplinary hearings if some of them were found to be on the wrong side of actually the conduct that is expected whenever you are in the structures of the national team. But they've gone on bench, disband the national team. It's not clear exactly what does this mean.
All right, Elasto Capoeira, there's so much to talk about, but so little time. This means you have to come into studio one of these days to talk African football. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to leave it there. We wanted to talk about Samson Siasia, but unfortunately, we had to let the viewers know what is happening in Zimbabwean football. That's Elasto Capoeira, African football expert, letting us know what is happening in his home association, the ZIFA, Zimbabwean Football Association. It is a mess. The former president is banned for life. He's taking things to FIFA. We don't know if it goes wrong there. He'll go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. But also remember, the former coach of Nigeria, who is Samson Siasia, has also received a ban this week from FIFA, this time for life, for his part in bribery matters. African football, always hot. We take a short break. When we come back, the legendary Fran Hilton Smith was with us. Thank you so much for staying with Sport on 405. Please talk to us about what we had the chat about with Elasto Capoeira, as well as the Springboks who are in action, well, in just under an hour against Argentina at Loftus Versfeld. You can talk to us on Twitter. It is hashtag Sport on 405. Also follow us there for daily updates with regards to sport all over the world. It is at Sport on 405, and that's where you can find us. In studio with me now is a legend. I've already told you that she is still and has done phenomenal things in football, and particularly women's football and is a woman who has served at the South African Football Association for the past 21 years. I'm not exaggerating. And it's my pleasure to welcome here into studio Fran Hilton-Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Fran, let's go back years, decades, 2 decades to be exact. How do you get into SAFA? I think around about 98?
Well, I worked at the boot of my car for 10 years doing women's football, and then finally they offered me a job. So I got into working at SAFA, first as the Banyana coach, and then later on as the team manager. And then I became the assistant technical director. I was the technical director for 2.5 years, but then became the assistant technical director. And that's where I was until I left recently.
All right. So what are some of the highlights in those early years? In fact, let me start with the challenges that you faced when you first got into women's football.
Well, always sponsorship has been a massive issue. Kit, we never had clothing, so we had to use the old Bafana stuff. We had to keep our 1 kit, 2 kits and wash them.
So that's why they were always so baggy and everything.
Yeah, we had to wash them, keep the 1 kit at home, keep the tracksuit at home. We had limited resources altogether. And it's only in latter years when Sanlam came on board, Vodacom, and of course in recent times, Sasol are the major sponsors, that Banyana, the National League, or the national teams could grow, and we've had a regular league. So things have improved over the years, but of course sponsorship's still a major problem.
So women's football in the country, when you look at it right now, and you look at the late 90s when you came in, or perhaps when we got readmitted into international competition, what would you say the difference is?
Well, I think in the early days when we started, I think in the 80s, Joseph Mkonza and myself started multiracial football for women. So by the time we got re-affiliated to FIFA in the 90s, we were already up and running. We had a multiracial team, we had a multiracial body, then SOFA, that ran women's football. I was the president, and we came and affiliated to SAFA. So still a lot of struggles when the team travelled then, I think, to Angola, Nigeria, their first games. There was no doctor, no physio, no money. It was really a big battle. But over the years, things have improved where we now have a full technical team. The team going to the World Cup, going to the Olympics had the kind of support that they needed.
How hard was it? Because we know that as players, the problems of female players are well documented. We know about the differences in the finances with the males and everything. But I'm thinking SAFA at the time of Stix Morewa and all of them, Molefi Oliphant then coming in, it was a predominantly male-run organization. And there was Fran Hilton-Smith. Did you have to compete with that a lot? Did you have to wrestle your way into the important positions?
Absolutely. I think in those days it was very tough. I remember I wanted to be a coach, and I was the only woman around at the time, and there was a coaching course, and Stix and Molefi were there. All the coaches were men, big men now, of course, like Shakes Mashaba, Trot Malotto, all of them. And they wouldn't let me come on the course, so I just sat there crying. And Stix and Molefi didn't know what to do, so they said, okay, go on the course, go on the course. Yes, I started crying. I thought, well, I've tried everything else, let me just cry now. So I got on the course, and that's where I started my coaching career. Did the CAF high level, did my CAF A license, professional license. So it was very difficult in the beginning, yes. It was totally male dominated, and I was this one problem woman that they had to contend with. And over the years, there's more women at SAFA, but we still need far more, of course, in our positions. now that I've left and Pinky Loka, we were the GMs, women GMs, so now there aren't any. So it's still an area. I've developed 87 women administrators over the years, and we hope they get into higher positions. The 27 cafe licensed coaches need jobs, need positions, so the work is still, there's a lot to be done.
When you speak about coaching, I'm inclined to talk about the work you do as an instructor, well, that you've done over the years. Not only are you a professional coach, a qualified coach, you've also imparted that knowledge onto upcoming coaches, and that includes the current coach, Desiree Ellis, who actually played in the days that you were coming in as a coach.
Yeah, I played against Desiree Ellis. I was a good soccer player in my youth, and I realized once I was played provincial soccer for 10 years in Eastern Transvaal then. And then I got into coaching, and I realized it was very difficult for women to become coaches. So I made it one of my goals was to develop women coaches, not only in South Africa. I've coached in most countries in Africa for CAF and for FIFA for 15 years, traveling around the world. I've seen the world developing coaches in developing countries like Trinidad and Tobago, Vanuatu, Thailand. Yeah. So my coaching and my wish to develop coaches has taken me around the world and Africa. And we have some of the best coaches, some of the best players in the world. And it's good now that you have, like the Desiree's coming through, Simpiwe Dludlu in the under 17, 20. She's a product of my high performance center that I started 12 years ago. She has a sports science degree, UEFA B license, and we have many of the girls from HPC in the national teams and qualified graduates now.
Speaking of HPC, Fred, a lot of people, I didn't know this, that you were a vital cog in the formation of the High Performance Center in Pretoria.
Yeah, when I was traveling overseas in America especially, I realized that academies for girls were important. And when I was coaching Banyana, the players would come in injured, not well fed, then you fix them up, send them home, and the same thing. So I decided to push for our own academy, which I did, which is the Tuks High Performance Center, in its 12th year now. And the bulk of Banyana, all the national team players come from there. The Janines, Linda Motlalo, Tembi, Khatlana, Vivo.
And it's not just footballers, like athletes across the board. We know it's a huge part of Caster Semenya's career.
Yes, she comes from there too, and it's a tremendous environment where all sports codes meet. They all go to school together. And education for me has always been 50. It's a 50-50 thing. And that's why now, luckily, we have 13 girls who are graduated who, without football, would probably never have had that opportunity.
All right, Fran, this year, more than 2 decades serving in the National Association, you have dedicated all these years in making sure that one day Banyana can qualify for the FIFA Women's World Cup. And they did. But you couldn't go. Why?
Well, finances are tough at SAFA. So after 25 years, yes, the team did qualify. I wanted to travel with the team, but it wasn't possible. But nothing was going to stop me. So fortunately, FIFA invited me as a FIFA instructor to the conference. And then I stayed on there, at my own cost, traveling around, watching the team, because this was my dream come true. So I wasn't going to miss it for anything in the world.
Did you want to retire?
No, I didn't want to retire. There's too much work to be done. There's still a lot I want to achieve. My under-20s must get to the World Cup. Banyana must go again. There's development I still feel I want to do with administrators, coaches. I think now coming from the CASAFA tournament, we can see that with 16 teams there, senior, 8 under-20, women's football's growing, and I still want to be a part of that. I still am, and there's still a lot I feel I could have achieved. But, you know, there's an age limit at SAFA, and unfortunately I'm over that. And also...
But are you the oldest person
economics.
at SAFA, friend?
No, I'm not the oldest person. I'm pretty close, but I'm not. But it was disappointing, but the decision's made. So I hope I still will be considered as a consultant or something, because I want to share my knowledge with as many women and men as possible. I had many consultations with male coaches too, not just the women. So I love to share my experiences, and I've been very fortunate to have traveled the world and gained a lot of knowledge, which any woman can pick up the phone and the information's there. So.
All right. Fran, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. But it's a shame that your knowledge is going to be missing at SAFA House in Newzroom from now on. But as you said, we do hope that you will still make an appearance or two there in the coming future. And I know that you're still at CAF and you're still working, you intend to work with FIFA as well. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your service to South African football.
Thank you very much, and thanks to everyone who supported me over the years.
All right. Fran Hilton-Smith, a legend in South African football. You have heard for yourself all the things that she's done from the late 90s, or actually the 80s, coming into the 90s as well, and making sure that finally South Africa qualifies for the FIFA Women's World Cup. We hope that her legacy lives on in the country. We take a short break. When we come back, it's EFC. Stay with us.
EFC, the Extreme Fighting Championship, is the ultimate fight sports promotion. Over 100 of the toughest mixed martial artists from around the globe are exclusively contracted to compete in the quest to find the world's greatest warriors. With a massive international broadcast expansion, over 8 TV networks in over 110 countries, EFC is a sporting phenomenon that has exploded onto the world stage. EFC, the Extreme Fighting Championship.
Okay, that looks like something I don't want to do. It looks mighty hurtful. Graham Cotmore joins me here in the studio. He is the VP of Talent at EFC. Thank you so much for your time and coming to talk to us about this thing that all of us are thinking. It's so scary. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having
me.
me.
Do you actually get into the hexagon?
Well, I get in there to hand out a belt. That's about it. But you know, like, I've been doing this for 10 years now. And I think the perception, we've spent the last 10 years trying to kill the perception of, you know, barbarians and that type of stuff. And we've really presented a beautiful package. I mean, you look at that and you see something really beautiful to watch. I mean, as a product, when you go and sit there live, it's pretty insane. And whenever I see people and they're like, oh, it's too brutal for me, I'm like, go. It is the most exciting live experience on this continent, hands down.
You know, besides that, I saw a video of a guy being kicked right in the chin the other day. The one that caused controversy with the
for sure,
with the celebration of feigning shooting a guy after he wins his match.
You know. Okay, so that was picked up by everybody. Sports Center and ESPN. There's 1 million views on that. You know, it's going viral. It's great. We've had a few knockouts like that. Newzroom Leshoro did a spinning back fist. They called it the elbow, a spinning back elbow, knocked the guy out. The whole gunshot thing. Okay, I'll be honest. You know, it's all context. You know, this is a young kid, first time on the main
Depends
card, live on
TV. The color of your shades.
100%. And you know what? People get so riled up about something that really, from his perspective, he's not doing it from that standpoint. He's so excited. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, getting a shot off like that and knocking your opponent out does not happen. And he did it. So his celebration was just a way of him getting excited.
I mean, if people can pretend to
I've
be
seen so much worse.
Slashing people's...
I've seen so much worse. I've seen... look, there's a guy, Newzroom Leshoro did that to a guy called Robert Swanepoel, and his nickname is 9mm. So when he did a gun thing, it was in that spirit of, I'm taking on your nickname. And it was exactly the same here. The guy you knocked out is Billy Oosterhuizen, Billy the Billy the Kid Oosterhuizen. So it was like this gunslinging thing. It was a beautiful knockout. That's what people must focus on.
All right, we've put that to bed now. Context is what we should be looking
100%.
at. But does it have a whole lot of fans? Is it even growing in the country?
Yeah, it's massive. So from our perspective, we've got our last viewership numbers we did with our reality TV show that we launched this. We launched it last year, and we did another season this year of TF2, The Fighter. We brought out 10 females from around the world, and they fought it out in the house. We had 20 million people watching that. Our broadcast deals now, what we're trying to do is get our entire package across Africa. So we want to be in Congo, Nigeria. I mean, we've got Nigerian athletes, Congolese athletes. We've got guys from all over Africa competing for us. We want to be the biggest sports brand. I know we're not going to try and go up against soccer. I know you're a soccer fan, but the reality is...
Why? I'm actually thinking of coming. You invited me to come and see a fight. Yeah,
no, I'll change you big time. So we're trying to go across Africa. That's our main goal for 2019, and it's looking great. We're getting inundated with people going, we're watching this in Senegal, it's crazy, you know. And that's what we want, to be on all the terrestrial networks across Africa.
All right. You mentioned females. We see females here on screen.
Yes. This is great.
And immediately what I think is the injuries and everything that has to come with that, but not only with females and the males.
Yeah.
How dangerous is it? Is it?
Look, we can sugarcoat it, and I can say, you know, there's rules. I mean, it wouldn't have. It's got a 30-year legacy. The UFC have just sold their organization for $4 billion. So you can't have that amount of traction and that amount of fan viewership and for it to be no rules. There are rules.
Yeah.
And they are there to protect the safety of the athlete. Nobody wants to see the worst case scenario happen to these people.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of this is as real as it gets. This is not play. It's not WWE. This is two people in there, two females, two males, with very small gloves and the ability to use any one of their limbs to inflict as much damage as possible to ensure that they beat their opponent. That is it. It is as raw as it gets. And that's I'm going to use the word beauty, but it garners so many fans because of that.
That's the brutality of it. That's the word you're looking for.
The whole thing.
So is it a combination of wrestling, boxing?
Okay, so yeah, for the uneducated fan, what you're dealing
like
with
me.
here, yeah, sure. So you've got boxing in this, you've got mixed martial arts is the entire sport, MMA, mixed martial arts. Underneath that, you've got people who do taekwondo, karate, judo, and they put it all together. The main components are two sports called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai or boxing. Those are the two kind of sports, stand-up and groundwork. And now, over the last 20 years, I'd say they've eradicated the whole singular martial art coming in.
Yeah.
It's just MMA. You train MMA. We've got some of the best MMA schools in this country. And that is, my nephew does this. My little nephew,
how old's your nephew?
He's 14 years old, but he's been doing it for ages.
Yeah.
And in BJJ terms, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's so safe. There's no sort of inflicted pain on you. You're not getting punched in the face when you're doing this. You can do this from a young age and learn self-defense. So you mentioned the woman. That is a huge component, and why they get so many people doing this. Because BJJ is safe. You can roll with people, learn how to put people in submission locks. It's an all-encompassing sport.
Who are some of the names that we should be knowing in South Africa by now?
Okay, so Aziashu Chitamba, the kid that you just saw with the knockout. I've got Dricus du Plessis, who fights internationally. He's the middleweight champion. We've got guys like Iga Kabesa, who is our featherweight champion. He's literally one of the most prolific fighters ever to grace EFC. And Nkazimola Zulu, who just lost his title now, but he's so spectacular to watch. Faiz Jacobs, this kid after his fight, I mean, I don't know if you guys have played it. After his fight, he stood up, and his speech gives me goosebumps now. He said, I am a kid from Mitchell's Plain where there are gangsters and drugs, and I'm a world champion. That's what we've built. We've built a platform for kids like that to come from nowhere, to become world champions, get paid like world champions, and possibly go
So there's a lot of money in it.
There's a lot of money in it, and there's a lot of sponsorship that people want to get involved with. Because, I mean, it's beautiful. It's the most raw experience you're going to get. I mean, we've got headliners like Restonic and these guys coming in because they see the potential in the sport and they want to be a part of it. So the kids get looked after. I say kids, I'm a kid myself, but the athletes get looked after in that world because they're the hot property. So many sportsmen don't have social media presence. Every single one of our athletes, you go on, they tweet, their Instagram, they're alive with this thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're carrying it forward in that regard.
So the trash talk starts on social media.
And you know, some of it is genuine. There's genuine dislike, and some of it is not. Some of it is to hype fights up. But when you get to people who genuinely dislike each other, like you've got Temba Garimbo now, Zimbabwean boy.
Yeah.
This guy used to smuggle diamonds. He lived on the streets when he literally came here from Zimbabwe. I mean, his story, we could sit and talk about his story for hours, how this kid has come from nowhere, and now he is a #1 contender. He's fighting a guy called Luke Michael, and there's a lot of bad blood between these guys because Temba feels like this guy doesn't deserve to be in my presence, and Luke is just this young up-and-coming kid who wants to prove that he deserves to be here. So yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
It's the WWE element, but it's real. You know, it's great.
There's no scripting here.
No scripting. You can't script this stuff.
Okay, so what can we look forward to? What's coming up? What should we be going to?
Yeah.
What are you inviting me to?
Okay, so 28th of September, I've got a mega fight card I've just put together. Temba Garimbo versus Luke Michael. We held a welterweight Grand Prix. So the guys knocked each other out to be the last two welterweight standing. Also, light heavyweight title is on that fight card. Then in December the 14th, which will be my birthday, by the way, at Menlyn, Maine. So the first one, 28th of September at Carnival City. 14th of December, we're going to do that at Menlyn, Maine in Pretoria, which is an insanely beautiful setup as a casino and the whole thing. We're having, hopefully, I'm trying to get, it's going to be the biggest fight ever. Dricus du Plessis to fight Brendan Lazar for the middleweight title. It's been 3 years in the making. If we get this right, I think this whole country is going to be set alight because everybody wants to watch this. So you heard it first here, and you'll be able to watch that hopefully in 14th December.
So there's blood, there's
everything,
thunder,
mate.
there's
Listen, I'll hold your hand when you're sitting next to me watching Cage Side. You'll love it. You're going to love it. I promise.
Okay, maybe I'll think of, coming into extreme fighting one of these days. I think...
You should all be training. Everybody in the studio should be training.
Everybody in the studio. Guys, you wanna? Okay.
It's a fantastic opportunity. You call me after the show, I'll get you to a gym. This man looks like he wants it.
Okay, our cameramen are thinking into going into EFC. But Graham, thank you so much for your time.
Having me,
I still think it's scary, but it's something that we should all be looking at in terms of entertainment for me, purely for entertainment purposes. So I'll be coming to one of the events, hopefully. So thank you so much for your time and coming to tell us about this bloody affair.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Cool. That's Graham Cartmel, the VP of Talent, and he's a matchmaker, actually, at EFC. So those are the events that, actually, where can they find you on social media?
I'm on at EFC Graham on Twitter and Instagram, and our profile is at EFC Worldwide. On Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That is we move so much traction through social media. We're always active. We're always trying to get good content out for you guys. So get on there, follow us.
All right. Follow Graham on those social media platforms, and that's where you'll find everything that you need to know about extreme fighting if you're a fan, and you should be a fan after all that he said. We take a short break. When we come back, we talk hockey with Twanelo. Stay with us. Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on Sport On 405. And we are chatting everything sport right up until we leave you at 5 p.m. Central African time. Remember, we are live all over the continent these days, so we can say Central African time. So I'm joined in studio by someone who's doing great things in the world of hockey. And this is Coach Polo. As she says, I must refer to her. Tonelo, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Dad. How are you?
I'm good. You grew up in Maseru, Lesotho, Lesotho.
Hey, Lesotho. I was born in Maseru many moons ago, and my brother and I came to join my mom in Joburg when I was 9 years old. So I've been here for quite a long time.
So it's Wakanai.
Hey, ke tswa naheng, Arana.
Karana. Okay, that's nice. That's good to know. But how did you now come to play for South Africa when you were a foreign national?
My mom has been a citizen forever through my grandparents. So as soon as we got here, it didn't even take long for us to get our citizenship. So I've been South African for as long
as you can remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so you then started your journey in sport in the late 90s, am I correct? Or in the 90s?
Yeah, before
Okay,
that.
you didn't start with hockey. What did you play?
I grew up in a very sporty family. I was the first girl in the family in terms of grandkids. So I had one older brother and 2 older cousins, and all they played was football. So that is all I did. Since
You
I
had
could
to
walk,
join.
Since I could walk, that's all I knew how to do. You know, I played football. And Aye, hahol. I was saying now that this is actually a very, very a beautiful moment. I met Fran.
Yeah.
When I was first year at the University of Joburg now.
Yeah.
But at Rao back
Rao,
then.
yeah.
Yeah, she saw me playing a social tournament and asked me to come to a Banyana camp. But because I was at UJ or at Rao then for hockey, the times clashed, so I couldn't go.
Oh, yeah.
I know, but I can still show 1 or 2 things.
We'd like to see that. But then you were also recruited to play for South Africa in rugby, if I'm getting my facts
Yes,
right.
touch rugby.
Touch rugby?
Yes, sir. I played
Goodness,
touch-
what can you not do?
They have to kill you, I told you. Yeah, so I played everything. You know, I played first team tennis. I was an athlete. I ran very short. I'm not a long distance person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved every ball sport. Anything that was brought to me, I tried it. And yeah, like I said, my brother and I we didn't stay indoors and play PlayStation back then. So what we did was go outside and just try things out.
Okay, now who just decides one day that, you know what, I'm gonna follow this hockey dream?
So when I was at Greenside Primary School, I played football with
just
the boys.
up the road?
Yes, I played football with the boys. And then I went to high school. They didn't have soccer anymore.
Yeah.
Then there was hockey. I mean, hockey is quite similar to football, you know. There's the defenders, the defense.
You go that side, you
midfield.
score.
Yeah, so that's what I did. And literally, I picked up my first hockey stick, went to a practice, and I knew this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
And you represented South Africa in big tournaments.
Yes.
You were in Athens.
Yes.
You were in Athens in 2004.
Yeah.
You were at the All Africa Games in 2003. Tell us about more of those tournaments.
Yeah, and the best thing about this interview happening this week is this is the anniversary of the Athens Olympics. This was this week.
Yeah.
Wednesday was the day I became an Olympian 15 years ago. So yeah, it's been a very emotional week for a lot of us. I've been calling some of my teammates, had a chat with our coach at the time, Ross Howell. Yeah, it's been an insane and amazing journey. We did champions. There's a Champions Challenge we played in the Indoor World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a World Cup in Spain that I played in as well. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years.
You know, you are considered a former good player in your day. You were a good player. And normally when you have good players, they don't really make good coaches. They struggle when they cross the great divide into coaching. But you haven't. It's been seamless.
Yeah, you know, Benji, I'm passionate about teaching kids and trying to get people to experience what hockey has given me for these 20 plus years. You know, that's all I really, like the core of my coaching comes from make you the best player you can be so you can also experience this beautiful sport and what it can offer you. So that's where my bottom line is. That is my why. When I step onto the hockey field, when I watch a hockey game to analyze, I'm always trying to make sure that the person that I touch next will be good enough or even hopefully better than me so that they can also experience what I experienced.
And you have the highest level of coaching, highest qualification there is of coaching.
Yeah, so, you know, I always feel like if I'm better knowledged, it's easier and better for me to then impart that knowledge to the next person. And that's what that was about, you know, trying to get my FIH accreditation in terms of coaching.
That's the level 4.
Yeah, so in 2 years ago, I went to Egypt to do the level 3. I got there and I did quite well, as the FIH said. And then they gave me, because after the level 3, you're supposed to coach for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they track your progress, and then they can get invited for the level 4. But I did so well at the level 3, they said, the very next level 4.
Was it with level 3 that you went to the Youth Olympics with the under 18s?
Yeah, I think so, it was.
What happened there? Just brag, please.
So we went to the youth, after Egypt, I got to qualify through the Youth African Championships, and we got to go to then the Youth Olympic Games. And yeah, we became the first South African team to go to semi-finals of a global tournament. I had a really, really, really great bunch of girls, and that group of girls is the group that's going to be going to the Junior World Cup in the next 2 years. Yeah, I think we have a group that can really compete with the best in the world. So yeah, we just fell short coming fourth at the Youth Olympic Games. But yeah, we have some incredibly talented players, and I can't wait to see where they end up.
All right. Talk to us about your recent achievement. You are now, I don't know if I'm phrasing it correctly, coach, educator, something like, tell us about
that. So in the hierarchy of sport, there's a player, there's a coach, there's an educator who coaches the coach, or the coach players. And yeah, this week...
So like Fran?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So now I just got my qualification from the FIH to be a coach educator, which I cannot wait to start that journey. Yes, I have been coaching coaches already in the last 2-3 years, but now I can actually coach coaches or help coaches find their way and their brand of hockey and their style of coaching, and I can certify them, you know, because you don't go to school for 12 years and walk out of...
So you're the person who decides whether I get my level 1 or...
I'm that person now. I'm that person now. It's really exciting because, you know, everyone wants to be validated, and sometimes a certificate and someone who's been allowed and been given the leeway to do so can do that for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I am now. So next year, Gauteng, whole of South Africa, Africa, the world, I can't wait to travel and start imparting the knowledge that I've gained in the last 20 plus years, and yeah, sharing, and hopefully with this FIH dream is to grow hockey and make sure that every country, every national association is good enough to compete at the highest level. Because the better all teams are, the better brand we can put on TV.
After that, there's nothing more I can say. Twanelo, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dade.
Okay, let me say Coach Polo.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us here in studio, and we wish you all the best. We know that South Africa is improving bit by bit when it comes to hockey. There's the National Hockey League, there's all of that. So good luck with everything that you're doing, and we hope to see you again sometime here in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Twanelo Polo joining us in studio here as we wrap up yet another show that is paying tribute to women in sport who are doing incredible things. Thank you so much to you for joining us. Keep talking to us on social media, #SportOn405, as well as follow us on, it is @SportOn405. We'll see you again tomorrow as we talk about everything that is happening in the world of sport. For myself, Benjamin Leshoro, Dana Mozolo, good evening.